The Celts hold a unique place in the rich tapestry of European history. Known for their vibrant culture, art, and spirituality, the Celts were once a dominant force across much of the continent. But who were they really? Watch to find out. In this video, we will explore their origins, daily lives, and enduring legacy, piecing together the story of a remarkable people who left a strong mark on Europe's history. The story of the Celts begins long before the medieval period. Emerging from the tribes of the Iron Age, their origins can be traced back as far as 1200 BCE. Often associated with the Hallstatt and Latin cultures of Central Europe, the Celts spread westward over centuries, settling in regions that now include modern-day France, Spain, Britain, and Ireland. In medieval times, the Celts had a stronghold in the British Isles, primarily in Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and Cornwall. Despite the pressures of Roman conquests, Viking incursions, and Anglo-Saxon influence, they retained aspects of their cultural identity, creating a legacy that would stand the test of time. The Celts were not a single unified group, but a collection of tribes sharing linguistic, cultural, and religious traits. Their languages belong to the Celtic branch of the Indo-European family, with descendants like Irish, Welsh, and Breton still spoken today. Though often considered distinct from their neighboring civilizations, the medieval Celts were shaped by more powerful forces throughout history. Through interaction and, at times, conflict with Romans, Norsemen, and later Norman invaders, they adapted and evolved, blending old traditions with new influences. A defining feature of Celtic identity was their spirituality. Early Celts practiced a form of paganism deeply connected to nature. Their belief system revolved around gods and goddesses tied to natural elements, sacred groves, rivers, and the cycles of the earth. Druids, the spiritual leaders of Celtic society, performed rituals, gave counsel, and served as mediators between the physical and spiritual realms. However, in the medieval period, Celtic paganism began to intertwine with Christianity. From the 4th century onward, Christian missionaries brought new influences, and by the 7th century, most Celtic regions were Christianized. This spiritual transition didn't completely erase their old ways. Instead, it created a fusion of traditions, pagan symbols intertwining with Christian themes, as seen in the iconic Celtic cross. The myths, legends, and folklore of the Celts remain among their most enduring cultural contributions. Stories of gods, heroes, and mystical creatures were passed down through generations via oral tradition. Heroes like Cuchulainn and figures like the Morrigan, a goddess of war and fate, captured the imagination of the Celtic people. The transition to Christianity didn't extinguish these tales. Instead, monks preserved much of Celtic mythology in manuscripts, blending them with Christian moral narratives. Works like the Tainbo Quaing, cattle raid of Cooley, and the legend of King Arthur carry echoes of Celtic mythological traditions. For the medieval Celts, daily life revolved around agriculture. They were skilled farmers, cultivating crops like barley, oats, and wheat, while raising cattle, sheep, and pigs. These animals not only provided sustenance, but also acted as a form of wealth and status within their community. Craftsmanship was also central to their economy. They created intricate metalwork, particularly in gold, bronze, and iron. Tools, weapons, and jewelry were not only functional, but also artistic, often showcasing symbolic motifs of spirals, knots, and animals. Trade played a significant role in sustaining communities. Local bartering of goods such as food, clothing, and tools often extended into long-distance trade with neighboring tribes or invading civilizations like the Norse or Romans. Celtic society was deeply connected to its clan-based structure. Clans were large extended family groups governed by a chieftain who often led through both strength and wisdom. These strong familial ties formed the backbone of Celtic culture and provided a sense of unity and support within the community. Spiritual leaders like Druids held significant sway within the social hierarchy. Though chieftains ruled the clans, Druids served as keepers of knowledge, mediators of disputes, and spiritual guides, wielding considerable influence. Marriage and family life were essential aspects of community organization. Marriage was often arranged to form alliances between clans or strengthen internal bonds. Women in Celtic culture, particularly in earlier societies, held relatively high status compared to neighboring civilizations. They could own property, inherit land, and even play leadership roles in some contexts. The Celts' homes and villages were typically small but functional. Most Celtic families lived in roundhouses made of wattle and daub with thatched roofs. These structures were warm, durable, and suited to the climates of Britain and Ireland. Inside, families shared a single room where they cooked, ate, and slept. Villages usually consisted of a group of roundhouses centered around a communal area, reflective of their tight-knit community spirit. Local settlements often served as hubs for farming activities, markets, and religious practices. Seasonal festivals were a cornerstone of Celtic life, offering both spiritual and social significance. Key events like Samhain, Imbolc, Beltane, and Lughnasadh marked transitions in the agricultural calendar and served as moments of communal gathering, storytelling, music, and feasting. These festivals also reflected the Celts' deep ties to nature. For example, Samhain, celebrating the end of harvest and the start of winter, was not only a time of community, but also a period when the lines between the worlds of the living and the dead were believed to blur. Celtic artistic achievements are among the most vivid representations of their culture. Their intricate patterns, such as spirals, knots, and figurative motifs, appear frequently in metalwork, stone carvings, and illuminated manuscripts. One landmark of Celtic art is the Book of Kells, created during the medieval period. This illuminated manuscript, featuring the 4 Gospels of the New Testament, combines early Christian themes with the elaborate design characteristic of Celtic art. It remains a powerful testament to the Celts' creativity and their ability to adapt to a changing world while retaining their cultural essence. The Celts were renowned for their warrior culture. Their reputation as fierce fighters spread across Europe as they engaged in battles both among themselves and against external forces like the Romans and Vikings. Weapons such as swords, spears, and shields were not only tools of war, but also status symbols. They were often crafted with exquisite detail, showcasing the artistry of Celtic metalworkers. Warriors were celebrated in songs and stories, with their deeds immortalized in both local lore and historical accounts. Though the medieval period saw many Celtic traditions change or merge with those of other cultures, their legacy remains undeniable. From their myths and legends to their art and language, the Celts have continued to inspire both historical research and cultural celebration. Modern Celtic festivals, music, and dance keep their traditions alive, while many descendants in regions like Ireland, Scotland, and Wales proudly maintain their Celtic identity. The medieval Celts were a people of great complexity, blending deep spiritualism, artistic expression, and resilient community structures. Their story is one of adaptation and survival, showing how rich traditions can endure even in the face of immense change. By understanding the early Celts, we gain not only insight into their world, but also a deeper appreciation for the enduring power of culture to shape and connect humanity across the ages. Subscribe if you are interested in early civilizations and its people.